peat has been the main raw materials for the last many years. Now we see that society and the industry are asking for different materials that are more sustainable and are more resource use efficient, for example circular materials. What can we do to have, for example, products with a lower carbon footprint? We are looking here at alternative ingredients, as we call them. For example, wood fiber, mulching materials, compost, but also ingredients like coir, like bark, and new materials to come. We know that the growth for substrates will not be primarily in Europe, but we see that more and more other regions are also moving out of the mineral soil towards container cultivation. This implies that also they will be looking for sustainable local mixes that we do not know yet today. First step will be to replace 15% of peat with alternative ingredients that are more sustainable in 2020, and we are looking to take the next step towards 30% in 2025.
So you have just learned that growing media may require a change in future. What exactly does that mean for the grower and for the cultivation of plants? All the materials will have an effect on the physical characteristics and the chemical characteristics of a growing medium. And as a grower, you will need to learn to adjust fertilization and irrigation to these substrates. Peat has shown for many years that it provides just the perfect package in terms of all these required parameters. So when you start to use constituents in growing media, you have to understand their technical requirements and technical performance. Here, for example, we have a trial of poinsettias where we grow the plants in substrates with new constituents, and here we can test exactly the effect on the plant growth, on the fertilization and the watering. Wood-based materials in general will become very important in future. Wood-based materials are just materials which can be considered sustainable. You can grow wood materials very quickly and you have a renewable material. Wood fiber is used since more than 25 years already in growing media, and this will become in future a more important constituent to use alongside peat, because it is a material which can be produced in a homogeneous quality and it can be steered in a growing media alongside watering and fertilization. Alongside wood fiber, we will see a use of cocoa material like coir and cocoa fibers, especially in countries in Middle and South America, as well as Africa and Asia. This is a material which is locally available, and we have to think about local ingredients in future as well. All the different materials come with different positive or negative aspects. For example, wood fiber and wood-based materials in general, like bark, they tend to have a nitrogen fixation. We will need to learn about adjusted specific fertilization concepts, where we have a steady supply, especially of nitrogen, for the growing media to compensate for the nitrogen fixation. The same applies, for example, with cocoa materials like coir. These materials would need to be treated before you can use them in a growing media. This is because we have to level out the nutrient ratio in the raw material to make it more suitable for plant growth in a growing media. We know from peat that it did always provide a reliable nutrient buffering ability and also pH buffering ability. That means the pH was fairly reliable and didn't go up and down during cultivation. If we use more constituents like wood-based materials, bark, wood fiber, this will change. We have to understand how the pH may change during cultivation. We also have to understand what fertilizers need to be applied to compensate for possible pH swings during cultivation. In terms of the irrigation, there will also be effects of constituents, because all these materials may come with a lower water retention. This lower water retention needs to be compensated by more watering, by more frequent irrigation. When using these constituents in growing media alongside peat, you will experience that the buffering abilities, especially for water and nutrients, will be less. This means in future there will be more applications of slow-release fertilizers to have a steady release of nutrients during cultivation. It is important to compensate the higher leaching and the lower water retention of growing media with a specific fertilizer package.